Are you ready for our next person? It's time for our Collectomaniac of the Week. This week, we're going live to just outside of Philadelphia, PA, to the home of a resident Kiss fanatic. I'm excited about this one. Brett Hamilton. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
I am a member of the Kiss Army, my friend. I'm excited. I mean, I just want to acknowledge the fact that you're clearly addicted to Kiss, which I celebrate at the highest levels. And I already can see it's like weird to have human heads, even though they're Kiss heads, mounted on your wall. Also makes me feel like you could be a serial killer because we're in your basement, right?
Yes, you're in my basement. So everybody above ground's like, that just looks like a normal house. There's no way he has heads.
So your neighbors have no idea about this part of your life? This is awesome.
No, they have no idea. I don't share this with a lot of people, so to put it on TV is kind of a big deal for me. But I think one collector to another, they all like to see what the other person has managed to accumulate. It's not a huge collection, but the cool part about this collection is that there's a story to just about every piece. And for the most part, it's all vintage. So as you know, Kiss tends to market just about everything. For me, growing up, you know, Kiss was kind of more of a superhero than it was a band. So it's kind of cool to look back on all that.
You don't need to tell me about Kiss. I mean, I truly, yeah. I worship them, one of my favorite all-time bands. But what do you do? How can you afford all of this stuff?
Well, that's the cool part about this story. I worked in radio for 20 years and along the way made some cool contacts and didn't pay for what most would have to in order to get the access.
The main thing that's like drawing me in is that Kiss pinball machine, which is something that I really wish I had, not just as a Kiss fan, but as a collector of pinball machines. That's like the holy grail, the unicorn. You have one.
Yeah. The machine was in rough condition, but the back glass is as close to mint as you're going to find for that time. So I got the pinball machine back in the 90s when Kiss had taken off their makeup and nobody cared. So they weren't doing the meet and greets that they do now. Now, if you want to get something signed by Kiss, first of all, you're only getting Paul and Gene because Peter and Ace aren't the band anymore. And you have to pay a lot of money. It's thousands of dollars to go to a meet and greet and get something signed. So back in 96, when they came through the first time, I tried and with all the people I knew in radio, and it was like, they're not meeting anybody, there's no meet and greet or whatever. In 98, when they came back around again, the night before the concert, I remembered that Dickie Barrett from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, we got to be friends over the years, and he was friends with Gene. So I called Dickie, going to see Kiss tomorrow, I really want to get this thing signed. And he's like, hang on. So he called Gene, and that fast, they called back and said, tomorrow night, we'll get it signed for you. So I spent the rest of the night constructing this, you know, cardboard box with foam in it and a top layer, and I just wanted to make sure that I was going to survive. So before the show, I went to the arena, and I walked down the stairs, and they walked in the dressing room, and I'm kind of peeking like this, and they signed it, they let it dry, they handed it back to me. So I was able to get all 4 original members to sign the back glass. I still couldn't believe it. It wasn't the show that I remembered, even after waiting all those years to see Kiss again. It was what's behind me right here, and it's pretty cool.
So you're going to Kiss concerts where it's hard enough to like smuggle weed into a show, but you have a giant plate of glass.
Yeah, I'm like going through security. They're like, "What's that?" It's just a vanity mirror. I like to see how I look all night.
You know, I see a lot of memorabilia, and I have to say, Steve, I know you're a collector too. I am crazy envious of that pinball machine. That's a phenomenal piece, right? But I'm seeing something else with some Kiss stencils on it. What is that road case? Tell me the story.
This is a crazier story than the pinball machine. In June of 2000, Butterfield's in Auction House took on the Kiss warehouse. And I'm watching this online, and it says road case, and I thought that would be super cool. So I didn't read the description, because as soon as they launch the item, bid, takes 2 minutes, and then they sell it. I just thought I was getting a vintage road case, which, got to be honest, I mean, that's by itself. If there's nothing more to this, that's a pretty cool item from the 70s.
For sure.
I open it up to see what's inside, and there's a reel-to-reel player inside the road case. So right there, I'm like, this is incredible. This is probably from a rehearsal or maybe a studio or whatever. And I look closer, and there are 4 copies of Beth, but just the instrumental of Beth. It's the song minus his vocal.
Wow.
meaning this is what Peter Criss sang over every night when they played Beth during those shows in the early to mid 70s.
Oh my God, this is so great. All right, when we come back, we're gonna find out if this one-of-a-kind piece of historic memorabilia, what it might be worth, and if Brett is willing to auction it off. And also, don't forget, we have an all-access pass to the Grammy Museum coming right up on Rock My Collection. Back in a second. Welcome back, everyone. Ahmed here, and I'm with expert music appraiser Stephen Breitman and our collectomaniac and crazy Kiss fan, Brett Hamilton, who is live from his house. Brett purchased a road case from a Kiss auction, not knowing what was inside, and to his surprise, inside was a reel-to-reel tape recorder with the instrumental version of the song Beth that Peter Criss sang along to live on tour. Now, this, to me, is phenomenal, but I'm curious what you think, Stephen.
Beth is one of the biggest selling power ballads ever. It's iconic. It set the stage for lots of imitators. So it's really a significant item. There's probably very few copies of that actual backing track for Beth that they used live in concert. So it's a combination of items, not just the Beth tape, but the other items, including the case.
Okay, Stephen, moment of truth here. What are these items worth? Just for the road case.
Yes.
And the reel-to-reel.
Yes.
And the actual tapes themselves, the analog tapes themselves.
I'd put at least $2,500 to $3,500 in this as a group. But you have to consider the power of fandom and Kiss fanaticism.
As a Kiss fan, I want to crawl inside that road case and use it like a rock cocoon and take naps in it. Just to be able to get a power nap like that. I'd pay $50,000.
That's what I mean.
Now, what about the big kahuna? What about that pinball machine signed by the key members of the band?
If this was, again, in a competitive auction with lots of Kiss fan eyeballs on it, and they heard this story, that would really be a great premium. So I would say at least $15,000 to $20,000 in a competitive auction, and maybe even more, depending on the emotions.
It's the greatest version of that pinball machine I've ever seen. The story, it's incredible. Brett, I think you have two seminal pieces in your Kiss collection. Are you happy with those prices?
Yeah, I had no idea, and that's why I'm here, especially with the pinball machine. I've had some offers over the years for it, but it's nice to finally hear an expert say, hey, I think it's worth 10, 12, 15. And as you said, Stephen, I've seen it sell on eBay, just a machine, for over 10. But the fact that they're worth that without the signatures, I think the bottom line is there's not a lot of them left in good condition, and it's impossible to get all 4 original members of Kiss to sign the same item now. And I really feel like that's what's going to make it worth more than anything else.
Yeah, I would get it insured for much more than that. I'd get insured for $20,000 or $30,000 or more, at least.
Brett, thank you so much for sharing your collection. If you do decide to sell that pinball machine, I have the perfect spot in my house for it, and you call me up because I'm your buyer, all right? Really, thank you.
You'll be the first one.
All right, thank you so much.